I was on Bill.
Shouldn't be out shopping, spending all my cash. Shouldn't be out with your friends, talking all that trash. You ain't built for comfort, sure ain't built for speed. Come on down to my place and I will show you where you should be. Between the sheets and under the covers where you ought to be. Between the sheets and under the covers, make a sweet love to me. Between the sheets and under the covers where you ought to be. Between the sheets and under the covers, baby, just you and me. Shouldn't be in honky-tonk, dancing your life away. Shouldn't hang out with the band till the break of day. Don't tell your man you're such a good girl when you don't really know. Now come on down to my place and I will show you where you should go. Between the sheets and under the covers where you ought to be. Between the sheets and under the covers, make a sweet love to me. Between the sheets and under the covers where you ought to be. Between the sheets and under the covers, baby, just you and me. Between the sheets and under the covers is where you ought to be. Between the sheets and under the covers, make a sweet love to me. Between the sheets and under the covers is where you ought to be. Between the sheets and under the covers, baby, just you and me. Between the sheets and under the covers.
All right. Here we go. Welcome to the show. How's everybody doing? Happy day. I would say happy Monday, but what is a Monday? It's only a Monday because we all agreed to call it a Monday. It could just be a day like any others. which it is. Especially if you're a comedy magician. And as Janis Joplin said, it's all just one long fucking day, man. I burnt the fuck out of myself on my new iron skillet last week. And I guess when I was in the shower, the scab from the burn got blown off. And now I should probably put some alcohol or some shit on it because last thing I need is another infection. I don't know what antibiotics I could even take if I got one. Doctor's supposed to give me a call back today. It's 5:18. Looks like he blew me off, so that's fun. And, well, let's start with this. A little vape hit. I went to high school. Well, I went to high school with a guy named Miko, and I became friends with his brother, Bodie. I've told you before, I went to a small school. Everybody kind of knew each other and stuff, and I don't know, a couple of years back, I guess. I don't know when the first time we ran into each other. But my pal Bodie runs into me on Main Street in Santa Monica. He lives a couple blocks from me. And so we hang out once in a while, go have a couple of beers, just kind of fuck around, you know, in the neighborhood, bar hopping, that kind of thing. And we very rarely plan it. It's usually like, hey, man, I'm at Jameson's if you want to join me for a beer. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll be there because we're so close. What's really weird, though, is if I were to say to you, like, hey, oh, by the way, I didn't play it. Hold on a second. I got to play Rudy's thing. So if I, oh, and I fucking didn't do that either. Hold on a second. I'm supposed to just have Zoom going all the time now. I forgot that's my new thing. Okay, cool. All right, sorry about that. Got a little distracted with the Zoom. Okay. Shit. All right, let's leave it like this. All right. Sorry about that. If I were to say to you, hey, Rudy, man, let's meet today, you know, somewhere on Main Street at some point, we'd never fucking find each other. You know what I mean? If I said, hey, man, I'm going to be in Venice today, you know, let's meet. Well, where? I don't know. We'll just see if we run into each other. You going to be there? Yeah, I'll be in Venice at 3. All right, I'll be in Venice at 3. And let's just see if we randomly run into each other. It's never going to happen. Not in a million years. If you're walking with somebody down the street and you're in Venice and you get separated, good luck finding that person. I mean, obviously now we got cell phones, but I'm just saying. Somehow, though, for whatever reason, Bodie, a guy that I didn't even know that well when we both lived in Miami, somehow he spots me in Santa Monica years later. So the fact that two people that, you know, knew each other from Florida run into each other in Santa Monica, and then on a continuous basis, I run into this guy. It's amazing. I love him. Thank God he's a good friend. Love this dude. But it happened again yesterday. I was like, maybe I should call Bodie up. Fuck it. I'm just going to go out and do my thing. I'm going to go ride my bike and go to Hanano's, get a cheeseburger. And I did exactly that. And then instead of riding my bike from Venice to Santa Monica, I decided to walk the boardwalk, just do some sightseeing. They cleaned up the boardwalk finally. There's a guy named German in Venice. His real name is Mike. And he's worked on the Venice boardwalk for quite a while. And he documented a lot of the insanity that was going on with the bums in Venice. And eventually the sheriff's department came in and started cracking heads. And they went zone by zone over the course of about 6 weeks, 2 months, something like that. And zone by zone got rid of all the homeless encampments. They basically said, all right, this is your shit. We can put it in storage for you. and you can come get it. We can give you a place to stay, but you can't live on the beach anymore. And they did it zone by zone. And so I knew they finished the cleanup. You could check it all out on German in Venice, but I went there yesterday. Was the first time I had ridden my bike from end to end, and sure enough, I didn't see any homeless encampments. It was like there were just fewer bums in general. And I mean, you just sit out there looking at it, and it's like, this is amazing. I never thought I'd see it look like this. And so anyway, I'm walking down the boardwalk, and there used to be a street performer that worked the Venice boardwalk. Short little guy with a bowler hat. He would wear a vest and a little tie, I think. And what's up, Javi? How you doing, pal? And he mostly worked in front of the Sidewalk Cafe, which is a restaurant and bar on the boardwalk that has all of this outside, like, patio seating. It's all under, like, a big, tarp, or not a tarp, but, an awning. It's been there for years. Famous place, Sidewalk Cafe. So you got, probably 100 people sitting out on this, like, patio looking out at the boardwalk. So what would happen is you would walk. If you were sitting at the Sidewalk Cafe, sometimes you'd see the street performer. And what he would do is he would, like, kind of be off to the side. And as people walked past the Sidewalk Cafe, he would get behind them and, like, imitate them. He would, like, imitate their walk. If it was, like, a real big muscular guy, he'd go like this. And he just fucked with people. And shit, I could probably find him now that I'm saying it out loud. Everything is online now. Let's see if I can find the guy. So I'm walking past on the waterfront, though, and I feel somebody walking behind me and I look over, and it's a dude waving a napkin. I look at him, and I thought it was that street performer at first, and it was Bodie. He's like, "Hey, buddy." I'm like, "Oh, shit." He's like, "I didn't mean to scare you." I'm like, "No, you didn't scare me. I thought you were that street performer." He's like, "Oh, yeah, I know the guy you're talking about." So, again, I run into fucking Bodie. No plan to. I didn't know he was there. He wasn't even in Santa Monica. He was in Venice. So he's with a couple of buddies. I sit down, join them for a beer. And one of his friends is the guy sells business insurance now. But this dude did one of the what are the absolute coolest things you could tell somebody you do? I mean, the coolest. Astronaut, that's about as cool as it gets, right? Obviously, if you're a legitimate rock star, that's pretty awesome. If you're like, Bono or something. But you would probably know it if the guy was Bono. But, okay, that's a pretty cool gig. And how about this one? I'm going to say right up there with those two. We could put it in third place, I guess, after Astronaut and Rockstar. I don't know. Rockstar might be better than Astronaut. I can name a lot more rock stars than astronauts. But anyway, this guy, turns out he was an F-16 fighter pilot. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And then all he did was go on to explain to me how it was just a job. And, Howard Stern has said that for years. And as a matter of fact, in that Cypress Hill song, it's Cypress Hill, right? So you want to be a rock superstar? That whole thing? Where he's like, yeah, man, it's cool being a rock star, but, it's a job. It's a cool job, but, it's a job, right? Well, that's what this guy's laying on me. Now, I've heard people say this before, and look, I've thought it myself. I'm like, hey, a lot of people think it's pretty cool that I make a living doing, comedy magic shows. And it is. It's a lot better than having a 9-to-5 job where people tell you what to do, and you're not fulfilled, there's no creativity, et cetera, et cetera. So, look, I'm very grateful for what I have. And anytime I feel like it's just a job, I remind myself, well, that's on me. I can make my job more interesting anytime I want just by working on new material, giving myself bigger challenges, that kind of thing. So, but still, it was still pretty crazy to hear a guy say, it turned out he was a combat veteran. And once I hear that, I usually stop asking too many more questions because obviously that's a sensitive topic. But he talked a lot, and he did tell me that, like I said, what about refueling midair? That's pretty cool, right? He's like, He goes, the first time. He goes, after that, it's like parallel parking. You don't give a shit. You do it at night in the rain. And you're like, yeah, whatever. Like that. It's crazy. He said the one cool thing he got to do was it was some kind of test that they would do, I think, on the jets when they hadn't flown in a while or something. There was like he said it was pretty risky, but it was like a structural integrity kind of thing, almost like being in a test pilot, where you would get in the jet and basically like put on the afterburners and head like basically straight up with like a slight angle that like kind of put you on your back. And he goes, it was pretty fun. And he was telling, you'd have to hear him explain it, but he was telling stories about how it could, the first time he did it, he got the angle wrong and he was like stuck to the cockpit. But that when you get it right, it's like a really cool feeling and you're just fucking going crazy fast. He goes, but it's dangerous. You're testing whether or not the wings are going to stay on. That's the idea. Another thing he explained was that this trainer, there was two trainers. I think the first one was a T-37, I think, and then the second trainer that he flew was a T-38, I believe, before being in the F-16. And the T-38, he said, is one of the fastest landing aircrafts there is. Maybe the fastest, if not the fastest, one of them. And I didn't really get that at first, but he explained that when you're landing these planes, you need a certain amount of speed to maintain lift. So if you're not going at least that fast, the plane will fall out of the sky. And so for that plane, in order to maintain lift, you end up having to land the plane at, like, I think he said about 230 knots, as opposed to an F-16, which lands, I think he said, closer to like 170 knots, which I think is closer to a commercial plane too. We were drinking, so I could be fucking up these numbers and some of these details. But all I know is, like I said, I didn't want to be too invasive once I found out he was a combat veteran. But at the same time, it's hard not to ask questions. And, he talked about reading a book called I think he said it was called The 3% Man or something like that. And I think it's a book on getting laid or some shit, but it had more to do with, I don't think my doctor's calling me back like they promised they would. Anyway, he said that this book lays out like a lot of, I guess, psychology and theory regarding men and women. I don't know a lot about the book, but as soon as he started talking about it in terms of meeting women, I was like, you're a fighter pilot. I would just walk around with my cock out and walk up to women and be like, hello, I'm a fighter pilot. Here's my dick. I flew F-16s. Here are my balls. Let me show you, I would just make puns. I'd be like, let me show you where the cockpit of your mouth is. Let me show you where your cockpit is. It's not where you think it is. My cock is going into your pit. Just realized I want to make a little. I never forget to change this, but I forgot to change something on my. Not that it really matters, but I'm a stickler, so I'm going to change something on the video here. Sharp. Let's see if you guys. Yeah, I wonder if you could even tell the difference. I can, but again, stickler. All right, so what am I doing? Sorry. Look at that. Talk about a waste of fucking time. I'm sure no one even noticed the difference in the picture that I changed. So yeah, man, he, I don't know, man. I anytime I meet somebody that's, in the military at all, I'm pretty impressed. I came close. I was in the Civil Air Patrol, which is an auxiliary of the Air Force. Then I was interested in joining the Navy because of my neighbors, one a SEAL, one a diver. And then I got interested in, when I joined the Police Explorers, then I wanted to become a cop. So, and then after enough dead bodies and sadness, I went to college. Which I guess in retrospect is a good choice. You know, it's funny, you think, well, if I had gone right into the police academy and skipped going to college, I could have retired at 40 with a pension, you know, had my 20 years in, and at 40 said, all right, still young as balls, and I never have to worry, the money thing's taken care of, so now any additional money I make, I can just, you know, do whatever I want with, and I can follow my dreams. But I wonder, like, I think if you haven't been working on being a comedian your whole life, but it's a dream you have, and then you put the dream on hold to become a cop for 20 years, then you retire and you're like, all right, I'm 40 years old. I'm going to pursue my dream of starting a band or being a comedian. Let's stick with the comedian example. And you're like, it's like, what are you going to talk about? I mean, your personality, your attitude toward things has been shaped by the last 20 years of as being a police officer. You've probably lost your faith in humanity, seen a lot of horrible things, and you've probably developed, if people have told you you're funny, it's a good chance it's other cops. And there's a difference between being cop funny and regular funny. I've seen a lot of cops over the years attempt to do comedy, and I think some have managed to pull it off, but I've just seen it a lot where it's like, this guy is going to do, all of his material is going to be about being a cop because that's everything he knows. And a lot of what he's saying is, I'm sure, hilarious to other cops, but the rest of us are just like, what the fuck? You know, it's pretty dark, my friend, gallows humor. I don't know how many cops become a cop, put in their 20 years, and at like 40, or maybe they put 25 years in, 20 or 25, let's say, and at somewhere between the age of 40 and 45, they retire. I wonder how many do that and then go on to like be successful novelists or poets or screenwriters or directors or comics or musicians. It just seems like you've spent. Now, you only need your 10 years, right? So let's say you're 40 and you go, fuck it. I'm going to get my 10,000 hours in right now. I'm going to just spend every waking moment pursuing this dream. Well, it's possible if you started at 40, you put your 10,000 hours in, that you could be a working comic at 50. And you could be like, yeah, it's cool. I had the 10 years of living off the pension so I could pursue this. Now I'm 50. And I can enjoy the rest of my life doing the thing I loved. And I don't know. I just wonder how many. I just have a feeling very few police officers have done that. Same thing with military, I guess. Just seems like it's too big of an influence on shaping your personality. So I saw that. Ben Shapiro, I always watch Real Time with Bill Maher. I've been to a few tapings. I've never talked to Bill. I've told you before that I like him, but he has seen me across the room at both his show and like at the little party afterwards. And he's also seen me at events I've been to, and I don't know what it is. Every time I've ever made eye contact with him and like gave him a smile, like, I get a look that says, I don't want to talk to this guy. Maybe it's just he wants to talk to hot chicks. And that's fine. I don't care. I'm not offended. But I've never gotten the vibe like I should go over and say, hey, Bill, I'm a comic and I'm a big fan and I think you're great. I've just never that's all I would say to the dude. Is like, hey, I'm a fellow comedian. I think you're wonderful. Been a big fan for many, many years. You're a great comedian. That's all I'd say. But I don't even feel like he wants me to say that. The last time I saw him, it was at a taping of Real Time, and a friend of mine got me in, so went to the little party before and after, and he was about 10 feet away from me. I looked up at him, smiled, and kind of one of these, and he just looked at me like, I don't know. Maybe he's never seen me perform. There's no way this dude knows me. You know what I mean? Maybe there's just something about me he doesn't like. He doesn't like the cut of my jib. He also could have given me no thought at all and just been like, I don't know, there's some dude over there. I get looked at all the time. I'm famous. Anyway, I like the show. I like Bill Maher. I watched this past weekend, was surprised to see that Ben Shapiro was on. And it was pretty interesting because the guy he was on with, this Malcolm, what's his name? Malcolm Nance? Nancy boy? Let's see. Let me make sure I got the guy's name right. Malcolm. I know his first name's Malcolm. I just don't know his... All right, whatever. We'll probably figure it out when I play this video clip. But I watched Ben Shapiro. He used to be a member of the Magic Castle, by the way. There's a chance he saw me perform, but I didn't know who he was back then. I didn't really know much about Ben Shapiro until probably about, I don't know how many years ago. I guess as the intellectual dark web started becoming a thing, I'm sure I was introduced to Ben Shapiro through Joe Rogan, would be my guess, through the JRE. But I don't know. But I have a feeling like if I was performing at the Castle and he was in the audience, if he didn't come up to me and introduce himself and tell me who he was, like, unless he, like, in other words, he could have walked up to me and said, hey, I really enjoyed your show, and I didn't know who he was at the time. Of course, now I would know him. So I don't know if he ever saw me perform. He was a member of the Castle. And then, obviously, he moved. And I haven't been back to the Castle since the shutdowns occurred. It's open again. But it'd be cool to find out if he ever saw my performance. He was... what was my point? Magic Castle, Ben Shapiro. Whatever. So Ben Shapiro goes on Real Time with Bill Maher, and he ends up with this guy, Malcolm Nance, I think is his last name. We'll know in a second. Malcolm is his first name. This guy, right off the bat, you could tell was just looking to take shots at Ben Shapiro. He wasn't there to have an honest discussion or an intelligent discourse. He was there simply to interrupt him, manipulate his points, lie, and insult him. And I don't agree with a lot of what Ben Shapiro says. Some of it I do, some of it I don't, which is what I could say with just about everybody. I mean, the one person I seem to agree with the most on this planet is Jim Norton. Him and I have, I think, very similar personalities. I think we're twisted in the similar ways. Jim Norton is the person, when I hear him talk, the only thing I don't like about Jim Norton is when he does his stand-up, it's like so similar to shit I talk about. Not necessarily in my show, but I'm like, we're like the same person, so I don't really get mad. I'm just like, me and this guy, we're the same fucking guy. And he's talking about his life, but he's talking about mine at the same time. So Ben Shapiro goes on there, and it was interesting because I've seen this happen to other people, and I've had it happen in my own life, where you're trying to give another point of view. And as soon as you say anything that's not in lockstep with the person you're talking to's narrative, then they just start interrupting and becoming manipulative and insulting and talking over you. I've seen it happen to so many people. And I saw it happen to Ben Shapiro on Real Time. And if you went on Twitter after it aired and Ben Shapiro was trending, what you saw was all of the people who are right-wingers or friend or fans of Ben Shapiro's posting clips of the segment saying things like, Ben Shapiro destroys Malcolm. And then if you were a left, and all the left-wingers and Malcolm or Malcolm fans were posting, Malcolm destroys Ben Shapiro. So it's literally the two tribes taking clips out of the same real-time segment, editing it out of clip, and then claiming victory. And all I see is just divisiveness. I just see two groups of people falling for a trick. It's like I don't know who they is. Maybe it's not even a they. Maybe it's just the way things are panning out. But man, are we super divided. In United States, together we stand, divided we fall. United we stand, divided we fall, right? Not the together states of America, the United States of America. But you get my point, is that it's like, how about instead of taking sides? I mean, I remember one of the greatest moments ever was when Jon Stewart went on, what was that show called? Crosstalk? Crossfire? Crosstalk is like when you're interrupting each other on a radio, which would probably be a better name for it. But whatever the name of the show was, it had Tucker Carlson on the right and who was the guy on the left? Alan Combs, maybe? Let me tell you, if his name was Alan Combs, I have no idea what ass I pulled that out of to remember, because I just haven't thought about it in a long time. And I'm not positive. I feel like the other guy might be dead. But it was, so what's his face? Jon Stewart, one of the greatest ever. One of the funniest, smartest guys, but also a guy who calls out the left when he sees them doing things that are fucked up as much as he calls out the right. So that's why I love him. I think he represents how most of us feel. I think, and I do believe if you would get the populist left and the populist right to become, to realize, hey man, we agree on more than we disagree on. Let's get together and get our country back. But I just think it's an illusion that the left and the right has fallen for, that they believe they're that different when the vast majority of both groups agree on most things, I believe. So Jon Stewart goes on, whatever that show was called, and just shredded the two of them. He's like, I'm basically here to tell you two that you're ruining the country, that this back and forth of left versus right and your bickering and your nonsense and the misinformation and the talking, you're just fucking up the country. Stop it. Just stop it. Maybe I could play that clip for you. And there, obviously, we have some version of that. We have 10,000 versions of that going on now. It's just all to scale. It's like we had that one show with Tucker Carlson and the other guy. Now we've got all these social media outlets with multiple forums and channels and platforms and identities and fake identities and real identities and whistleblowers and fake whistleblowers and on and on and on. So I love real time. Bill said, hey, I want you guys to just have a discussion and be nice to one another. And Ben was doing exactly that. And Malcolm Nance acted like a child. And it seemed to me that Malcolm was looking for that Jon Stewart moment. He was like, I remember when Jon Stewart, tore up Tucker Carlson and the other guy. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go on real time and I'm just going to, and everybody tomorrow is going to be like, yeah, Malcolm destroyed Ben Shapiro. Yeah, he got him. He got him real good. Meanwhile, he lied and didn't really make any good points and misrepresented. Again, I don't know much about Malcolm Nancy Boy or whatever his name is. I probably agree with him more than I agree with Ben Shapiro. Probably. I'm a pretty liberal guy. Although, when I hear Ben Shapiro talk, a lot of what he says makes sense, and I agree with a lot of it. I'll tell you this, I have a propensity these days to agree with people on the right more often, not the politicians, but the people on the right, because most of the censorship, the big tech censorship, the cancel culture, all the woke CRT nonsense, it's all coming from the left right now. It's like Jordan Peterson has, the chaos and order thing. It's 12 rules for life, an antidote to chaos. And it's like, too much chaos is a problem, but too much what would you call it? Uniformity. Too much. I just said the word. Hold on. Let me hit this vape pen. Too much order. That's what I was going to say. Too much order is a bad thing too, right? Yin and yang. You want to ride that line between order and chaos. And chaos is, I feel like, is the left. And order is on the right. And right now, I think there's too much chaos and not enough order. And that chaos, I think, is leading us to losing freedoms. It's like this whole country was based on freedom, and we just keep losing more and more of it. And at some point, it's like, I don't even understand why people want to give it away. They always have an excuse, right? Well, I'm giving up my freedom because it's worth it for fill in the blank. And my thing is, no, it's not. It's not worth it. No. If somebody's not bothering you, let them do what they want to do. If what somebody else is doing, and then they make arguments, right? Like you go, hey man, why should you have to wear your seatbelt? It's not why should I have to wear my seatbelt if I don't want to? It's not affecting you. Well, it does affect me because you're going to have a, more serious injury. And then that means the insurance rates will go up and I pay insurance. Fuck you. These insurance companies are the biggest scumbags on the planet. They don't pay anybody anyway. Come on. There's two things I don't know if I've ever seen an example yet of an attorney with a soul or an insurance company with a soul. Insurance companies and attorneys. I mean, these are the worst two entities on the planet. And I've said that for a million years. So, and then it's like, well, really? Because you're going to tell me you do nothing in your life that affects your health that causes insurance rates to rise? You're a fat ass. Or maybe you go bungee cord jumping or skydiving or hang gliding. Those are risky activities. Maybe you have high blood pressure. Maybe you are a diabetic because you eat a lot of sugar. I don't know. In other words, all of us contribute. Nobody's perfect. So you just have to go ahead, let people do what they're going to do and average it out insurance-wise. Because if you think that it's important to to wear seatbelts, then why don't we require everybody in cars to wear helmets? Wearing a helmet and a seatbelt, that would be way safer than just a seatbelt and airbags. Hey, Truthinator, how you doing? Hey, Zach, actually put what the video is about roughly if you want more views and more subs. I like what we have to say half the time, but I'm not drawn to listen without knowing what it is. Yeah, I was about to play the video, and then I just started yammering. So what I was actually going to play was Ben Shapiro's response to what happened on Real Time with Bill Maher, because I haven't seen it yet, so I thought I would just react to that. Let's take a gander at that first. And if you didn't see Real Time, I imagine he's going to play some clips himself, so that'll give you an idea of what happened.
On Friday night, and it was a lot of fun. It was before Shabbat, so I was able to actually do the panel. The other person on the panel was Malcolm Nance, who you may have seen on MSNBC. He's the guy who's constantly claiming that Donald Trump was a Vladimir Putin stooge. He's made some pretty extraordinary claims to that effect without the supporting evidence to back it.
Well, I mean, MSNBC goes on and on and on with the fake Russiagate nonsense. I mean, Rachel Maddow any day is going to... Of course, Truthinator. What are we here for, man? I'm not here to just talk to myself. I love it when people in the chat let me know they're there.
A bunch of topics were discussed, among them authoritarianism and critical race theory. And in case you missed it, I thought I'd play a little bit of it for you today.
Yeah, I told you. I knew he was going to play some of it, so here we go.
So we sort of...
His voice really is rough. I mean, it's just, the thing is, my biggest complaints about Ben Shapiro are his voice, his eyebrows, and his hair. His hair really bothers me. It's like out of the 50s or something. Like Leave It to Beaverhead.
Started by discussing what authoritarianism looks like.
What does authoritarian look like? Yeah.
Nance and Marr were making the case that authoritarianism is really just centralized government control. Well, first of all, quick point. When it comes to centralized government control, it seems that one party is much more interested in actual centralized government control than
Tell
the
me
other.
about it.
That is number one.
His fucking lips are weird, too. He's just kind of a weird-looking guy. Hey, Lizzie! Let me do that again for you, Lizzie.
The wheel in the sky keeps on turning.
All right.
One. Number two, when it comes to soft authoritarian control like this.
Someone married him and fucks him, though. That's pretty amazing. It's like when I meet a guy that's like, oh, I just can't get laid. I'm like, Ben Shapiro's married with kids. If you can't get laid, I don't know what to tell you. Ben Shapiro's getting laid. There's dudes in prison getting wedding proposals.
Stuff that you worry about on a daily basis, the stuff that affects your life.
But I do like a lot of what he says. Duncan Trussell was on JRE once talking about what a dork Ben Shapiro is. And Joe was like, I like the guy. Like, I kind of do, too. That's the thing. I kind of like Ben Shapiro. Well, Joe does like the guy. I don't know. I've never met him. I just have a feeling he was a member of the Magic Castle. He must like magic. He likes Joe. Must like comedy. I don't know. I bet he's a cool guy. Well, cool's the wrong word. I bet he's a good guy. If I had a choice between hanging out with, let's see, who would you rather hang out with? Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, or Ben Shapiro? Out of those three, I think I'd go with Tucker. I think. I was going to say Alex Jones because he's so goddamn entertaining. And you wouldn't have to do much, you know. You could just put the nickel in the slot, pull the string, sit back and enjoy Alex Jones. But Tucker, I feel like going fishing with him. I've never been fly fishing. I'd be like, hey, Tucker, I grew up fishing. I've been fishing my whole life. Why don't you teach me how to fly fish and we can talk pussy? Have a couple of beers, talk pussy, and do some fly fishing. I don't know. I feel like Tucker's that kind of guy. I don't feel like Ben Shapiro wants to talk pussy. I don't think Alex Jones does either. I don't know. Let me pick three people that are more liberal. Would you rather hang out with let's see, out of Michael Moore, let's see. This one's going to be too easy for me, but let's go Crystal Ball, Michael Moore, and let's see here. I was going to say Howard Stern, but he's not. He's pretty liberal, but he's kind of a traditionalist. Let's go Michael Moore, Crystal Ball, or I know. How about well, you're not going to know who Steve Marmel is. How about Titus? There we go. Titus, Crystal Ball, and Michael Moore. Out of those three. Now I've had a tremendous crush on Crystal Ball for like 20 years. I love her. I think she's awesome. She's brilliant, beautiful, charming. Seems to take a joke well. So for me, it's pretty easy. Crystal Ball. I've met Michael Moore several times, and he was always very, very nice. Really seems like a good guy, Michael Moore. I would like to hang out with him, but I can't pass up the chance to hang out with Crystal Ball, just to sit across from her and stare at her while she says brilliant shit would be great. Lizzie, I told you I'll shit in the jar for you, and we'll split the money. Muay Thai is asking Lizzie again about buying a jar of her shit. What do you guys? What about you, Lizzie? Michael Moore, Crystal Ball, or Titus? Titus, I don't know if you guys know who he is. He's been around a long time. He used to have a show called Titus. kind of a spoken word, sort of a comedian, but not really, more of a spoken word guy. Yeah, let's go on with Ben Shapiro.
That is coming from a wide variety of institutions that have decided to mirror the priorities of your political opponents and shut you down. This is the point that I made with Bill and
Ben, well, he is accurate, but that voice, exactly. Alex is great entertainment. If I wanted the continuing education or facts nonstop, that's been Tucker, would be a good goofy fishing buddy, but Alex. You'd go with Alex Jones? Yeah, that's a tough one. I almost went Alex Jones. I can't believe you're going to go with Crystal Ball, spelled with a K, by the way, Lizzie. I can't believe I've never met Alex Jones. I became a fan of his before I even moved to L.A., and then I became friends with Joe. I first met Joe in like 2000, the end of 2000, like October or November, something like that of 2000. And when I first started jiu-jitsu, which was 2007, I mentioned Alex Jones to Joe back then while we were in class, and he started doing his Alex Jones impression. And it's just like, and then when I did the podcast with Eddie Bravo, we had so many people like that on that I'm just, we had Joe on it. We had Joey Diaz. I'm just surprised we never had Alex Jones on Eddie Bravo Radio. That would have been cool. But yeah, I've never met Alex Jones. I vaguely know of Michael Murphy and don't know the others. Michael Murphy? Who's Michael Murphy? I don't know who Michael Murphy is. I said Michael Moore. Maybe I didn't pick three good people on the left. Here, I'll make it easier. How about Michael Moore, who you should know? I mean, you got to know who Michael Moore is. He had a great documentary called Roger and Me. That's when I first came to know him, is when I was in a film class and we watched Roger and Me. So how about Michael Moore, Crystal Ball, and Bill Maher?
With Malcolm on Friday night on HBO's Real Time.
On HBO's Real Time.
The question is not whether authoritarianism exists on all sides. I think there are plenty of authoritarians on all sides. The question is, where does the institutional power lie? And if the answer is that Donald Trump...
Is he squeezing his balls when he talks? Would it be funny if you found out he normally talks like, hi, I'm Ben Shapiro, but I got to go, I wear some special Jewish underwear, and when I put it on, it squeezes my nuts really tight. Here, let me show you. All right, let me tell you about what's going on with the authoritarian left and the authoritarian right.
Tweeting and being a jerk is the essence of authoritarianism, as opposed...
He's not wearing a tie. How come? I think I would have worn a tie, but I'd also be in an all-black suit or something.
To say Joe Biden, the president of the United States, saying this week that he doesn't care whether it's constitutional for the CDC to extend the eviction moratorium.
Lizzie's going with Bill Maher. Yeah, Bill Maher would be, okay, out of those three, Michael Moore, Bill Maher, and Crystal Ball. I don't know if Crystal Ball smokes weed. Bill does. At least I could smoke weed with Bill. That'd be pretty badass.
He's going to do it anyway. I mean, that seems rather normal. It seems like only... Okay, this point is one that the left, the obsession with Trump for the left is really a bit of projection, because Donald Trump tweeted a lot of bad stuff, and he acted in bizarre and I would say authoritarian ways. Like his manner bordered on that. Did any of that end up making it into actual policy? The answer is pretty much no. And so I
say that all the time. I hated Trump, but he was basically just a douchebag with a bombastic personality that was largely ineffective. I mean, the one thing he did was he increased the deficit even more than Obama did, which is pretty amazing because Obama increased the deficit more than all the presidents before him combined. So he outdid Obama in increasing the deficit, but he largely seemed ineffective outside of just being a great shit talker. I mean, most entertaining president for sure. It's funny to me, though, how often, whenever George Washington is brought up, one of the things that's almost always brought up with George Washington is how after he did what he did for America, and they wanted to make him a king, and he turned it down. He said, no, I don't want to be a king. Let's do this other thing. And people go, well, that's why he's the greatest president ever, because he didn't want to be a king. He wanted to have this representative government, this republic of free people. And even though everybody points to that, all we get is more and more career politicians who go in poor, never leave until they're 1,000 years old, and when they retire or die, they're all multimillionaires. I mean, AOC would probably be just as rich if she just stayed being like a TikTok influencer. AOC is just an Instagram influencer that managed to get elected. And then once she got in there and realized, oh, I could just play ball and, get absorbed by the Borg that is the system and get rich. AOC will leave office rich, just like Obama. Fucking all scumbags. And so that's the thing, is when I say I don't like any of them, when I don't like the left or the right, I think the system is broken, then people in either of those camps get mad at me. My friends who are real liberal, they go, you're a piece of shit because you don't agree with everything I'm saying. And then my right-wing friends, you're a piece of garbage because you think the world is round and you're too stupid to know it's a flat earth. I'm not kidding. I got people on both sides. I get made fun of by my flat earth friends. They call me a baller. They go, Zach's still a baller. I get made fun of for that. Anyway.
Focused in on January 6th, right? I've been saying for a long time, January 6th is the peg that Democrats are going to count on when it comes to 2022. I don't think it's going to pay off for them. And this is sort of a point that I made on Mara's show. So Malcolm Nance tried to suggest that 40,000 people invaded the Capitol on January 6th. That is just flatly untrue. It is flatly untrue, and it's important that it's untrue. Here is the point that I made on Mara's show. 40,000 people did not assault the Capitol. Okay, that's just factually inaccurate. There were maybe 1,000 people. That is not making light of the evil of those.
By the way, Malcolm Nance, just the way he looks at him, he's like got a smirk, and he's just sitting there, not listening, just waiting for, what kind of, he's just concocting a plan to say something snarky. Talking to myself into a crystal ball would be a more constructive use of my time. Exactly. But Crystal Ball is beautiful. She is so gorgeous.
People who all will end up.
Truthinator, I'm going to give you an ultimate zing for that. I need more sound effects, but I haven't played the ultimate zing in a while. And
the ultimate zing.
Felt like you deserved it there on that one. All right, here we go.
Rotting in prison, as they should.
How many people came to that rally?
Were all of those people assaulting the Capitol? Is that
They
your
all
contention
marched
now?
on the Capitol, and then the leading
They all
edge
marched on the
attacked
Capitol. It's
building.
just inaccurate, Malcolm.
Yeah, it isn't. No.
Yes,
No.
it is inaccurate, Malcolm.
Facts, Ben.
Yes,
okay.
you're not mentioning them. Malcolm, you have a terrible habit of conflating people who do actual violent activity with a broader rubric of everyone, for example, who voted for Trump, which was 75 million people. And that really is ugly. Okay, not only is it ugly, it is authoritarian in intent. Because the goal...
By the way, at least Malcolm Nance is wearing a tie, except it's a pink tie, so I don't know what his deal is.
If you can castigate everybody on the other side of the aisle as a criminal, then you can treat them as criminals. Right? And Malcolm, unfortunately, has a rather significant habit of doing that and suggesting that everybody who is on the Trumpy side of the aisle, anybody who votes Republican, anybody who has pulled the lever for Trump, that all of those people are implicitly involved, or at least winking at January 6th, and thus must be treated as...
Hey, what's up, Juan? How you doing, pal? Did you try to come into the Zoom and I didn't see you? Maybe I should put it there. Hold on a second. Let me because I left it on for you. I'm going to put that over there from now on. Ah, shit. I'm going to put this over here in hopes that I'll notice something. Okay, cool.
Outside the Overton window and basically can do whatever you want to them. Okay, I pointed out as well that the institutional power is coming from the Democrats at this point. It's hilarious to watch people continue.
Oh, and to your point, Juan, yeah, man, it is. It's. I said to my brother that politics is just pro wrestling, and he said that's insulting to pro wrestling, and he said besides that the proper term, would be kayfabe. So
continue on the left to just shout about Trump. Democrats are in charge of every major institution in the country, including all of the branches of elected government at this point. Right now, the House, the Senate, and the presidency of the United States are all controlled by the Democratic Party. It is the Democratic Party, large scale across the United States, currently engaged in mask mandates, vaccine mandates, and lockdown. So, for all the talk about Tucker Carlson, who, again, you mentioned, is not a governmental figure, or Donald Trump, who's not been in office since January, last I checked, it seems that the great threat that people are experiencing right now is from the soft institutions, right? The institutions, the Facebooks and the Twitters and the corporate world, right? All those institutions on a soft level, and on a governmental level, the people who are actually experiencing control top down from the government, the people at the top of the government right now are Democrats. Okay, and Malcolm Nance then tried to blame Trump for that, which was kind of hilarious. Again,
they always go to Trump. Anytime. Again, I'm no fan of Trump, but it's pretty funny how that's always. He is the crux of all problems. You know, other people have said this many times. The president gets way too much credit and way too much blame for shit. Like, you know, the economy is going great. And it's like, well, you know, Obama was the president when the economy was great. And it's like, yeah. And then if the economy was horrible and he was president, it's like he doesn't deserve all the blame or the credit. For most things, that's the case. 96% of super pretty ladies are too self-absorbed and dumb to waste my time and energy trying to inform them, because you can't learn a goddamn thing from I don't know. Hello, Miss B. I've missed you too. I hope you're doing okay. I know you've been going through a tough time, as have I. We should talk soon. Both sides have done nothing to fix this country. You're absolutely right. The system is broken. And when I'm talking, but to Truthinator's point, when I talk to beautiful women, I don't care how smart they are, and I don't try to inform them about anything except, you know, my cock.
But like at a certain point, guys, you're going to have to recognize that what you're calling for, your agenda, is a big government top-down campaign for censorship and control. It doesn't matter whether we're talking about COVID lockdowns or whether we're talking about revising the standards for the FCC so that you can ban Fox News. There's only one side of the aisle that's really attempting to quash the other side of the aisle. Okay, then we got to the issue of critical race theory. And this, I will say, was just straight amusing. So I talked about what critical race theory actually constitutes. And I will say that it is amazing to see how critical race theory defenders literally refuse to defend the principles of critical race theory on their own terms. They just play this ridiculous, trying to nail Jell-O to the wall game. So
yeah, it's just a word salad. They make up words. They concoct all kinds of double speak and twisted logic. And, you know, Joe Rogan didn't want to go on Bill Maher's show because he didn't want to have to speak in sound bites. And Bill said, well, you don't have to be on the panel. I do a one-on-one interview, and it's just us. And for whatever reason, Joe didn't want to do it still. But watching Ben Shapiro spar with Malcolm Nance on Real Time was a really good example of why Joe didn't want to go on there. It's like they just have to rush through every topic, and they talk all over each other because they're worried about, you know, getting their thought out in a soundbite. And I think it would be really cool if Bill Maher just said, you know what, HBO, why don't we catch up with the times? How about I do Real Time the way I've been doing it, but we don't put any time constraints on it. You know, I come out and I sit and I talk with somebody. And whenever it kind of feels right, we'll wrap it up. Maybe we talk for 10 minutes. Maybe we get into something really interesting that needs to be sussed out and we talk for an hour. Then I'll go and sit down with the panel. And same thing. Maybe we'll sit for a few hours. And maybe the whole show will be 3-4 hours like JRE is. Except, you know, we'll do it on HBO. And people could, you know, pause it, obviously, go back and listen to it, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know. Why not, man? Like, why not do it that way? Why not do a long form show. I really don't understand why CNN, Fox, and MSNBC don't do that. Like, especially CNN, this just 24 hours to fill up. Yet what they do is every hour is the same stories over and over again, almost verbatim, all with the same quick sound bites and pressing time constraints. It's like you're on 24 hours. Why don't you just have somebody that, come on and talk about something with experts as long as it's interesting? Why don't you have Peter Schiff on CNN and have a 2-hour discussion with the man, and other people that disagree with him? Why not have him and somebody that disagrees and let them have a real conversation, not an argument where they're stepping all over each other?
Bill asked me to define critical race theory. I defined it. Nance agreed with the definition of critical race theory and then proceeded to elide the entire definition. It was really an impressive show. Critical race theory essentially argues that racism is baked into all the systems of American society and that any sort of neutral system is, in fact, a guise for racial power. If we agree that history should be taught, why are you defending critical race theory, which is not history?
Did I not just say a moment ago that I think that term has been hijacked and that's not what we're talking about?
Okay, so let's say
Then why are
critical
you
race
defending it?
I'm going to go back and repeat that I didn't say that.
Okay.
You are literally
Let's
defending
not.
critical race theory by redefining it as just teaching history, which is a cheap semantic trick, and you know it.
Is this what you do on your show? Because it sucks.
Malcolm, Malcolm, I appreciate that, but
I'm sure
I will comfort myself
sure
tonight
we
by
have a-
sleeping on my bed made of money. Okay. By the way, my bed isn't actually made of money. It's a Helix sleep mattress, and it is just glorious. Let me just...
I have said for years, if I was a billionaire, all of my furniture and my bed would all be made of women. I would literally just have women on all fours that I paid, and they obviously would be naked, and then I would lay on this bed of naked women and fuck several other women on top of them. And it was funny. I did think that saying, "Oh, I'm going to sleep on my bed of money" was not the greatest comeback. I think he could have had a better comeback than that. But in other words, I think if he had said something like, "Well, if my show sucks, what does that say about your show when I have so many more viewers?" Like Malcolm, you have an average of like 300,000 people watching your show. I've got 30 million. So what my show sucks? How bad is your show then? You know what I mean? I would have rather something like that.
just tell you. I could sleep on a bed made of money. I just feel like it would be really, really uncomfortable. Like, money is not all that comfortable. And shockingly not worth all that much as Joe Biden continues to inflate the currency. How's this for a title? Ben Shapiro Show. Subscribe.
All right, so there you go. There's Ben Shapiro's reaction. Retards, retrograde, emotionally taught, anally retentive, despotism syndrome. That's funny. A bed that doesn't help with his sex life. Well, he's married, this guy. That's what I was saying, Juan. When people are like, when a guy's like, "I can't get laid," I'm like, Ben Shapiro got laid. You have no excuse. You want to know how to get laid? It's sales. It's numbers. Just go up to every woman that you find attractive, and some you don't, and talk to them and ask them out. And asking them out means, do you want to go for a drink? And then after a few drinks, you want to go back to my place. And you just put the numbers in, and eventually you get better and better at it. You get more charming. You start to hit, you go from striking out to some singles, some doubles, the occasional home run. Anyway, members of 300 Bloodhound Brims indicted. I don't know what that is. Bed of money was awesome, but totally a Jewish comeback response. Exactly. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Can't make his wife get wet. I don't know if Jewish women get wet, Juan. I don't know. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Have a beautiful rest of your night. I'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Juan, as always, you just jump in whenever you want to, my brother, so you know. And that is that we also have to do something, Juan, about your connection, so that, because it really is, it's tough, man. Your connection is so bad, and you're so funny, but it's such a struggle to get it to work. We might have to just really get you a laptop with a hardwired internet connection and a decent mic. But it might be an act the way he talks. That's what I said. Thank you, Lizzie. Thank you.
Wheel in the sky keeps on turning.
And thank you, Rudy. Have a beautiful night, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow, 5 o'clock. If you wouldn't mind, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, hit the little notification bell so you know when I'm going live, when I'm uploading content. Yeah, they do if you talk stocks into their ear softly. That's funny. I love it, Truthinator. Welcome to the show. I don't know if you've ever been here before, but I appreciate you chiming in. You're a welcome addition to the chat. And as always, I love you all more than chocolate cake. If you want to support the show, go to zachwaldman.com/fans. Going to be expanding the fan club to basically include a whole hodgepodge of stuff, but it's going to be pretty valuable. I might start teaching some basic sales and marketing advice in there, and it's like teaching some magic tricks, some bar bets. It's gonna be Zach Waldman lifestyle stuff in the fan club, and there's probably gonna be something in there for everybody. You know, metal detecting videos, vlogs, maybe some poker talk. You never know. But I'll see you soon, and as always, I'm gonna play you out with a little Reverend Carl. It's a lot of Reverend Carl. He's the best, and here he is.
It's 2 a.m., 14 below, it's closed. My work is done, but I'm feeling low, and I wanna play the night away, the night away. I can't stand to be alone. I gotta bring over some people to fill up my empty home. Yes, I do now. I'm having a party, having a party, having a party, I'm having a party, people. And a party, people, well, well, well. Put out the word to the chosen few. I got the SMC, my friends, bring your choice of brews, your choice of brews. The buzz is on and the mood is set. The candles burn as the turntables turn by the TV set. Yes, they do. Yes, they do now. Having a party, having a party, having a party. I'm having a party, people. And a party, people. And everybody's getting down now. Party people, having a party, having a party. We're having a party, people. And a party, people. Well, well. The monster man is feeling smooth. While in the mirror he's busting moves till he finds his groove, till he finds his groove. A Johnny Poet is feeling numb. He's gonna drink until the sunlight comes out to play. He's always running away. Where are your shoes today now? Having a party, having a party, having a party. We having a party, people. A party, people. And everybody's getting down now. Party people, having a party, having a party. We having a party, people. And a party, people. Yeah. 21's like they're going out of style. A jungleberry scab and tears. He'll smoke all the weed you have if you let him away with it. I let him away with it. I let him away with it. Away with it. Away with it now. Having a party. Having a party. Having a party. We having a party, people. And a party, people. And everybody's getting down now. Party people. Having a party. Having a party. We having a party, people. A party, people. Well. Reggie Love is dressed in plain. He'd like to bop the night away, cause he's come a long way from that Ventura County. Girly girl by the telephone. She's been waiting on a man to call so she can share her love.